Pursuit of the Truth Episode 8. In the previous episode, Su Ming pushed his body to its absolute limits, swallowing powerful herbs and dangerous scattering dust to awaken new veins of strength. Heat like fire and cold like ice tore through him as he fought against the limits of his fragile frame. Yet with unshakable resolve, he awakened 17, then 19 glowing veins across his body, each one tightening his grip on power he desperately needed to protect his tribe. Exhausted but unbroken, he finally sat in the quiet of the cave, ready to heal his wounds. At the end of the previous episode, just as he closed his eyes, something strange stirred the air. Through the small openings in the cave wall, Su Ming saw the moon outside, stained with a faint, ominous red. What will happen next? Stay tuned. And the story continues. Su Ming was stunned when he looked at the moon once again. The red hint had disappeared as though it was just an illusion. Su Ming's eyes turned grave. He did not believe that it was just an illusion. He became silent as he stared at the moon once again from the small holes on the wall. Time seemed to stretch endlessly as Su Ming remained still, his gaze fixed on the moon. The cave around him was quiet, the cold air pressing against his skin. Yet he did not circulate the energy flow within his body. He watched, waiting, the red light that had briefly bathed the cave fading quickly back into normalcy. His mind churned with uncertainty. Could it really have been a mistake? A trick of his imagination? He let out a slow, contemplative sigh, preparing to dismiss the vision entirely, when a sudden thought gripped him. Something was not right. A flicker of comprehension sparked in his mind, but the ideas were elusive, flitting like shadows at the edge of his awareness. He repeated the words quietly to himself, testing the memory. Red moon, red moon, red. His eyes fell to his body, recalling the exact moment when the red moon had first appeared. It had been right after the medicine's effect had worn off, when he had consciously guided the circulation of blood through his veins. At that moment, the red light had surged and lit up the entire cave. Recognition dawned slowly, sharpening his senses. The scattered thoughts in his head coalesced into clarity. With a sudden movement, Su Ming opened his eyes fully and activated the circulation of blood within him. Instantly, 19 blood veins appeared along his body, radiating a piercing red glow. The crimson light enveloped him completely, spilling outward and tinting the cave in a deep, fiery hue. He lifted his gaze to the moon through the numerous holes in the cave wall. Under the intense red glow, his eyes narrowed in focus, comprehension settling across his expression. And then, to him, the moon appeared red again. It was not the moon itself that had changed, but the red illumination from his blood made it appear so. The vision was compelling, almost hypnotic, and Su Ming's mind clung to it, refusing to let go. He murmured softly, tracing the lines of an ancient chant he had read, the words twisting in his mind like a puzzle. The desire to obtain berserk spreads to all corners of the earth. Let fire burn in mine blood. Let mine thoughts burn the skies. Let fire burn heaven into ashes. If T be true, the moon of fire appears from the clouds on the endless earth. I wilt sink into deep thought as the fire in mine blood burns. The 9 is the utmost of all, and the 1 is the law. Light up the berserker fires and worship the 9. Did let us all becometh the authorities of fire. He repeated the lines quietly, turning them over in his mind. The first part, he realized, seemed to speak of imagining the moon of fire appearing, focusing his thoughts with calm determination. Yet the latter part, the more complex lines, seemed to hint at action, not mere imagination. Su Ming frowned, puzzled by the intricacy of the ancient words. He concentrated harder, allowing his blood to glow ever more brightly. And then, a realization struck like a bolt of lightning. The chant was not a passive instruction. He must actively imagine the moon turning red. He must summon it with his mind, creating the vision, not waiting for it to appear on its own. His heart raced. Could it really be this simple, yet profound, that the power of the berserker fires was connected to his imagination and will? With a steadying breath, Su Ming focused entirely on the mental image of the red moon. He let the picture form in his mind, vibrant and alive, repeating it again and again. He was unaware that his control of the blood circulation had waned. that the red glow in the cave had faded. The cave returned to its normal shadowy hue. But his mind burned with intensity. He envisioned the moon transforming gradually, deepening in color from pale silver to the rich, molten red of blood. Red moon, burning moon, he whispered to himself. A thin thread of crimson light descended from the imagined moon, drifting through the holes in the cave wall, merging with his eyes and flowing into his body. The sensation was chilling, yet invigorating, as the energy infused his blood and the circulation began moving naturally. Harmonizing with his focus, Su Ming felt suspended in a world where nothing existed but the red moon and the fire it reflected in his mind. Outside the cave, Xiao Hong had already awakened. The creature watched from a short distance, blinking slowly, its expression puzzled. It gazed at the moon, which seemed unchanged, and tilted its head. It could not comprehend why Su Ming seemed lost in a daydream, entirely absorbed in an invisible spectacle. Far across the dark mountain, something stirred. The wings of the moon, usually dormant, showed signs of life. Deep within Black Flame Mountain, along the magma-filled basin where a giant red tree grew, innumerable lion-like creatures floated in restless anticipation. Occasionally, their faces were visible, expressions not of malice or sorrow, but of obsession and excitement. They struggled as if attempting to leave the tree, restrained by some unseen force. It seemed as if these ancient beings were responding to Su Ming's summons. Drawn by the awakening berserker powers long lost, the Fire Berserker tribe, existing in the distant past, left behind remains that had endured the fiery magma unchanged. One corpse, at the edge of the territory, appeared to mock the events of the present. Its skeletal face retained an unmistakable expression of aloofness and derision. The words it had once pointed to had vanished, yet the air seemed to remember them, leaving only an impression of contempt for the passage of time. As the night waned and the first pale rays of sunlight touched the mountain peaks, a figure shrouded in black entered the deepest parts of Dark Mountain. This was the same person who had appeared during the blood-red moon at Black Mountain Tribe. He moved slowly, deliberately, as if passing through the world itself. Dried trees and obstacles seemed not to impede him, his body almost ghost-like, drifting as he advanced. "It's not here either. Just where is it?" The person sighed and spoke in a hoarse voice as he walked into the distance. As the sun appeared in the sky, he disappeared. The night was over. The last shreds of darkness were being chased away by the rays of morning sun. The moon in the sky turned into a crescent moon and was about to disappear. Su Ming, who was still in the cave on Black Flame Mountain, shivered and finally lowered his head. Su Ming's eyes reflected a mixture of confusion, bafflement, and an unshakable sense of emptiness. He had spent the night immersed in the mysterious powers of the Fire Berserker Art, and now, as the first rays of sunlight filtered through the numerous holes in the cave walls, reality seemed almost mundane compared to the visions he had witnessed. Xiao Hong, noticing Su Ming's expression, immediately puffed up its fur in alarm and retreated until its back pressed firmly against the cave wall. Fear and caution danced across its face as it observed the fading shadow of the blood-red moon in Su Ming's eyes. Time passed slowly as the last faint traces of the crimson glow disappeared entirely. Su Ming finally snapped out of his trance, blinking and taking a deep, steadying breath. The events of the previous night, which had seemed eternal in their intensity, now felt fleeting, almost like a dream. Yet as he tested his body, his confusion turned to shock. "My injuries are all cured," he murmured. He could hardly believe it. The bruises and minor wounds from his forceful training, which would normally have required days of meditation to heal, had vanished completely overnight. Su Ming's experience and intuition told him that no ordinary technique could have achieved this. Only a power as extraordinary as the Fire Berserker Art could account for such rapid recovery. His eyes sparkled with a mix of awe and excitement. He lifted his head to gaze at the clear morning sky through the holes, feeling the warmth of the sunlight on his face. This is indeed a berserker art of the Fire Berserker tribe. Its power, it is incredible. He could still sense the lingering effects within him. Instinctively, he activated the energy flow in his body. Soon, all 19 blood veins illuminated with a brilliant glow. But even as they appeared, Su Ming sensed a residual force within him. something untapped. His expression sharpened as he circulated the energy flow throughout his body with meticulous care. After several cycles, a sudden surge erupted in his chest, and the 20th blood vein emerged. Su Ming's eyes widened in shock. The effects of the previous night, amplified by the mountain spirit, had surpassed his expectations. His heart raced with exhilaration. The power of the Fire Berserker Art was unlike anything he had ever experienced. For the first time, a new path of potential opened before him. A thought surged in his mind, electrifying him with anticipation: transcendence. Perhaps, he realized, he could reach the transcendence realm and ascend to become a powerful berserker at a level beyond ordinary comprehension. As he calmed his racing heartbeat, Xiao Hong leapt onto his shoulders, its small body trembling with curiosity and excitement. The little monkey gazed into Su Ming's eyes, raising its paws as if to playfully pinch his cheeks. Su Ming laughed and gently pushed it away. They played together for a moment, the tension of the night dissolving into innocent amusement. Then, unexpectedly, Xiao Hong's expression changed. It hissed softly and lifted its right paw, sniffing it with a look of elation. It licked the paw a few times, then extended it toward Su Ming, urging him to sniff it. Hesitant but curious, Su Ming brought the paw close. A foul smell immediately struck his senses, causing him to recoil slightly. He found himself simultaneously amused and bemused by Xiao Hong's behavior. Xiao Hong glared at him, clearly displeased, before retreating to a corner of the cave to sniff its paw again. The elation on its face suggested that it had discovered something significant, something entirely new in its recent experiences. Su Ming's curiosity flared as he began piecing together what the little monkey was attempting to communicate. Days passed, with Su Ming immersing himself once more in the practice of quenching herbs. The power of the mountain spirit coursing through him inspired a deep excitement, a desire to perfect his craft despite the high failure rate. Even after using half of his cloud gauze grass, he managed to successfully create only 2 pills. During the day, he continued to circulate his blood energy, stabilizing further in the 3rd level of the Blood Solidification Realm. His presence became stronger, and he realized that, with his current abilities, he could confront a berserker from Black Mountain Tribe face to face and emerge victorious. At night, he returned to the familiar practice of meditating under the moon, conjuring the image of the blood-red moon in his mind, though the effects were no longer as extraordinary as the first night. His efforts were not in vain. His body manifested yet another blood vein, elevating him to a 22nd blood-veined berserker. On one such night, as Su Ming sat cross-legged in meditation, Xiao Hong, who had remained in the cave for several days, suddenly became restless. The little monkey sniffed its right paw with an exhilarated expression and, realizing Su Ming was not watching, dashed silently out of the cave. Su Ming's curiosity was immediately piqued. A mischievous grin spread across his face as he followed, determined to discover what had so captivated Xiao Hong. With his newfound speed and agility as a 22 blood-veined berserker, Su Ming moved through the snow without leaving a trace, following Xiao Hong effortlessly. The little monkey's speed was remarkable, but Su Ming's enhanced abilities allowed him to keep up unnoticed. After an hour of tracking, he witnessed Xiao Hong arriving at a messy burrow in the forest. Clearly familiar with the location, plants around the entrance were trampled and destroyed, evidence of repeated activity. Xiao Hong paused, vigilant and anticipatory, before rushing inside. A low, furious roar erupted from the burrow, followed by the appearance of a massive black-furred beast, its eyes bloodshot with anger. In its right paw, it clutched a bundle of black fur, its groin bare in stark contrast, revealing repeated attacks by some intruder. Su Ming realized with dawning comprehension that Xiao Hong had retrieved the fur. The beast chased after the monkey, but Xiao Hong's speed was unmatched. The furious chase ended with the bear returning to its burrow, dejected and venting its anger with deafening roars. Su Ming followed Xiao Hong further into the forest and watched the little monkey rub the black fur against its groin with an expression of pride. Its behavior seemed absurdly self-important, almost comical. Soon after, a group of small female monkeys appeared, sniffing Xiao Hong's paw and observing the fur with a mixture of curiosity and awe. The scene clarified itself. Xiao Hong had harnessed the perceived strength of the bear to impress and attract the opposite sex. Su Ming could not help but laugh wryly, shaking his head at the bizarre yet ingenious tactic of the little monkey. Returning to the cave, Su Ming resumed his meditation, immersing himself once again in the power of the blood-red moon. The effect of the crimson light seeping into his blood invigorated him, strengthening his resolve and his body. A few nights later, as he sat cross-legged under the moon, the faint outline of the blood-red moon appeared in his vision. It shone brightly, almost as if alive. Suddenly, the left side of his vision burned with intensity, sending a shiver down his spine. A string of words crossed his mind, echoing like a sacred chant. As the fire in mine blood burns, the 9 is the utmost of all, and the 1 is the law. Light up the berserker fires and worship the 9. Did let us all becometh the authorities of fire. As the fire in mine blood burns, the 9 is the utmost of all, and the 1 is the law. Light up the berserker fires and worship the 9. Did let us all becometh the authorities of fire. Su Ming mumbled instinctively. The words repeated themselves in his mind, growing louder each time, until they roared like thunder echoing through the mountains. In Su Ming's eyes, the faint shadow of the blood-red moon began to solidify, its glow strange and captivating, as if the moon itself were aflame. At first, the pain in his eyes was subtle, a mere twinge that he could endure. But as the night progressed and the moon climbed higher in the sky, the discomfort intensified. His entire body trembled. It was as though his very soul protested the strain. And Su Ming knew instinctively that he could not simply turn away. He wanted to close his eyes, to shield himself from the unbearable sensation. The pain was not in the fire, but in the light, the burning glow that emanated from the moon and penetrated his vision. Yet a deeper, inexplicable force within him urged him to persist. If he abandoned this moment, he would surrender the right to learn this extraordinary art. It was the perfect timing, a fleeting opportunity that might never return. Su Ming's mind was torn. As the fire in mine blood burns, he muttered desperately. But how do I make it burn? His eyes had turned bloodshot, veins starkly visible, and the shadow of the blood-red moon had replaced his pupils. He appeared ghastly, almost inhuman, as the dryness in his eyes worsened with every moment. The burning image of the moon drew out all moisture, threatening to leave his vision parched and lifeless. He forced himself to lift his gaze again, roaring aloud as he circulated the energy flow through his veins. His blood surged, attempting to reach his eyes, but nothing alleviated the searing dryness. If anything, the sensation worsened, the withering of his eyes pressing down on him like a weight. The moon's image began to fade from his vision, and with it, the last clarity of the night seemed to slip away. Yet just before his eyelids closed completely, a sudden memory flashed before him, sharp and vivid like a strike of lightning. It was the scene he had witnessed before saving Bai Ling. The wings of the moon perched on the red branch within the fire cave, biting through their claws and wiping their eyes. Pain and sadness etched into their expressions. Recognition struck Su Ming with astonishing clarity. He understood the essence of the art, the ritual necessary to ignite the fire within his blood. Resolutely, he opened his eyes and brought his right hand to his mouth. With a determined bite, he drew blood, letting it flow down his fingertips. Without hesitation, he lifted his hand and smeared the blood across his eyes. Instantly, a bellow of power erupted from deep within him, vibrating in the space between his eyebrows. His eyes felt revived, refreshed, and the searing pain vanished as if it had never existed. Black Flame Mountain seemed to tremble in response. Though no snow stirred, it was the spirit of the mountain that quaked, not its body. Strange whiffs of invisible air surged from within the mountain, drawn irresistibly toward Su Ming. They spiraled into his eyes, which had become a vortex, pulling the air inward. The sensation was unlike anything he had experienced. The air seemed to temper the fire, extinguishing the pain, yet simultaneously infusing him with clarity and strength. His vision returned, now tinged with a deep, blood-red hue, transforming the world around him into a brilliant scarlet panorama. The revitalizing currents spread through his body, merging with his blood and circulating along the 22 veins that already glowed on his form. A surge of energy, more intense than anything before, sparked the appearance of the 23rd blood vein. The crimson brilliance intensified, and the 24th vein manifested moments later. Su Ming could feel power coursing through him like molten fire. His body and blood aligned in a harmonious yet overwhelming surge of strength. As dawn approached, the moon began its slow retreat, giving way to the sun. Su Ming rose to his feet, anticipation crackling through him. The winds of black flame mountain whined and danced around his hair, the mountain air bending to his presence. The 24 veins of blood glowed fiercely on his body, each pulse echoing the rhythm of an ancient, primal power. He lifted his gaze to the waning moon, drawing in a deep breath. The moon swayed subtly, and a tendril of red moonlight fell directly into his eyes, vanishing instantly, leaving a lingering fire in his vision. With that, a surge erupted within him. The 25th blood vein appeared across his chest. Su Ming had ascended to the 4th level of the Blood Solidification Realm. At this level, his strength became extraordinary, recognized even among small tribes. A 4th level berserker could join the tribe's hunting teams, become a critical force in tribal defense, and had reached the peak of the early stages of the Blood Solidification Realm. Should Su Ming advance to the 5th level, he would enter the middle stage and gain the potential to master new, even more powerful berserker arts. The power within him was unlike anything he had known. His blood and energy flowed in perfect harmony, imbued with the strange properties of the mountain air. The cold winds seemed to rush toward him, drawn to the fire in his veins. He even felt, faintly, a connection to the moonlight itself, as though he could manipulate the very light in response to his will. Under the guidance of this strange sensation, Su Ming lifted his hands slowly and waved lightly the very moment the moon was about to disappear. The moment Su Ming waved his right hand, the fading crescent moon in the sky suddenly emitted a bright silver light. No one else could see the silver light, only Su Ming could. As the light poured down from the sky, following the motion of his hand, the world before him seemed to twist and shift. The silver light blinked like a living flame, and a deep, resonant roar echoed across the mountains. The stone walls in front of Su Ming trembled and cracked under the force, fragments scattering in all directions. Some debris tumbled into the mountain stream, sending echoes rippling through the valley. Su Ming's eyes widened in astonishment. He stared at his right hand as if he could not believe what he had just caused. It took him a long moment to shake off the daze and glance toward the sky. The moon had vanished, leaving the land bathed in the first rays of sunlight. "Is this the Fire Berserker Art?" he muttered under his breath, bewilderment and excitement warring within him. "But this art, it is related to the moon, not fire. Why is it so?" His heart pounded against his chest as he reflected on the strange power he had just channeled. That silver light, the moon's energy he had coaxed with his hand, had struck with an intensity far beyond his understanding. Though he had tried testing his strength directly, the difference was staggering. Su Ming's own fists, even as a 4th level berserker in the Blood Solidification Realm, could only crack a massive stone slightly. The moonlight he had guided had shattered stone with effortless grace, leaving him exhilarated and hungry for more. Unable to contain himself, Su Ming lifted his fist and struck a nearby boulder, channeling the full power of the 25 blood veins manifest on his body. A muffled boom rang out as cracks spider webbed across the rock. A strong rebounding force shot up his arm and into his chest. But the flow of energy within him absorbed it. Stepping back, he marveled at the cracks in the stone, the sheer force of his own strength now measurable against that which he had released with the moonlight. He realized the staggering potential. A small ray of moonlight could wield far greater power than his full physical strength. The possibilities excited him, if he could gather more of that energy. Harness it fully, Su Ming laughed, the sound echoing with joy and anticipation. Night had never been so eagerly awaited. As the day wore on, Su Ming returned to his cave, constantly glancing through the openings to track the sun's movement. The day seemed to crawl, each minute stretching longer than the last, and he felt a growing impatience for the night to arrive. When darkness finally fell, the moonlight bathed the land, silver and bright, And Su Ming's heart pounded with anticipation. He calmed himself, focused on the moon, and prepared to channel the power once again. From the inheritance passed down by the god of berserkers, Su Ming knew the path that lay ahead. With the 5th or higher levels of the Blood Solidification Realm, he could unleash 2 legendary berserker arts, long held by the Dark Mountain tribe centuries ago: Dark Blood Dust and Execution of the 3 Evils. The mere thought sent waves of excitement surging through him. Dark Blood Dust allowed a berserker to gather a drop of their own blood and release an explosive burst of strength for a short period. Execution of the 3 Evils, however, was even more formidable. To cast even the first strike, a berserker needed to manifest 200 blood veins, a feat of incredible difficulty. Progression through the Blood Solidification Realm required ever-increasing numbers of veins: 53 for the 5th level, 109 for the 6th, 243 for the 7th, 399 for the 8th, the 9th to 11th levels. The final stage demanded mastery of all 781 blood veins, with more veins increasing both power and the potential to reach the Transcendence Realm. Su Ming's eyes shone with fierce determination. As he envisioned the moon turning red within his mind, the familiar burning sensation returned to his eyes. This time, he acted without hesitation, piercing his finger and smearing fresh blood across his eyes. The sensations that had overwhelmed him the night before returned, more intense and awe-inspiring. "I want to become stronger," Su Ming thought, his resolve crystal clear. The 25 blood veins on his body glowed a deep crimson as they absorbed the rushing mountain air. The image of the blood-red moon filled his vision, and he smeared his blood across his eyes again, initiating the first cycle of the Berserker blood-burning art. The desire to obtain Berserk spreads to all corners of the earth. Let fire burn in mine blood. Let mine thoughts burn the skies. Let fire burn heaven into ashes. If T be true, the moon of fire appears from the clouds on the endless earth. I wilt sink into deep thought as the fire in mine blood burns. The 9 is the utmost of all, and the 1 is the law. Light up the berserker fires and worship the 9. Did let us all becometh the authorities of fire. The 9 is the utmost of all. The 9 is the utmost of all. Su Ming realized that the essence of the art was to make his blood burn 9 times in succession. Each cycle would amplify his power exponentially. The moment he smeared the blood, his body trembled violently. Black Flame Mountain quivered as waves of energy surged through his veins, igniting the 26th through the 33rd blood veins in rapid succession. His breathing quickened, his heartbeat raced, yet his mind remained clear. With a 3rd smear, piercing his 3rd finger and smearing the fresh blood across his eye, Su Ming felt the mountain itself respond. Tremors shook the entire Dark Mountain range. The other summits quaked as though aware of his presence, yet outwardly appeared unchanged. Birds and beasts froze in awe, sensing the raw power emanating from him. Even Bai Ling of the Black Mountain tribe, who had previously absorbed the blood of the wings of the moon to break through the Transcendence Realm, felt a flicker of fear. His heart quivered as he looked to the sky, unable to locate the source of his dread. Deep within the 5 mountains, the wings of the moon stirred, sensing the surge of berserker power. They called out, restrained only by an unseen force. Their agitation mirrored in the trembling of the strange red tree within Dark Mountain. Within the cave, Su Ming's body continued to respond to the overwhelming influx of energy. Blood veins manifested at a staggering pace: 34, 35, 36, all the way to 47. The sensation of power was almost too much to bear. His body and mind felt as though they were on the edge of bursting. Yet he endured, driven by the desire to grow stronger. Eventually, the frenzy of energy subsided. His breathing came in harsh. Rapid pants, sweat drenched his body, and the overwhelming presence of Dark Mountain's soul withdrew. Yet Su Ming knew this was no ordinary occurrence. The art he was wielding, the burning of blood, was unimaginably powerful. Even at the 3rd cycle, the potential to multiply his blood veins and enhance his strength was staggering. He reflected on the path ahead. 9 cycles, 9 repetitions of worship, 9 infernos within his blood, and he could attain unparalleled mastery over his own strength. Beyond that, he could hope to command the very fire itself. If I train with this art using the pills, I will be able to reach the Transcendence Realm. Su Ming clenched his fists. Time passed by as Su Ming immersed himself in the process of quenching herbs and his training. Xiao Hong returned to the cave exhausted after a few days as Su Ming was meditating. Its red fur had darkened several shades as well, illustrating just how tired it was. The little beast looked utterly spent, yet its expression carried pride and satisfaction. It sniffed its right paw repeatedly, letting out small, almost foolish grins. Its eyes sparkled with longing, as if it wanted to share everything it had experienced with Su Ming. For a brief moment, Su Ming remembered the day he had followed Xiao Hong into the forest. An awkward expression crept onto his face as he thought about it. Xiao Hong, sensing Su Ming's gaze, turned and ran toward him, extending its right paw proudly. It wanted Su Ming to sniff it again, eager to share its little victories. Su Ming could not help but smile faintly at its antics, though he quickly turned his attention back to his training. Laughter or annoyance faded. Discipline and focus took precedence. Days turned into weeks, and a month passed swiftly as Su Ming continued his relentless routine. The date to accompany the elder to Windstream Tribe was approaching. During this period, he had exhausted all the cloud gauze grass in his possession, yet only managed to create a single mountain spirit. The high failure rate weighed heavily on him, lowering his spirits, but his progress in training remained undeniable. Su Ming had firmly settled into the 4th level of the Blood Solidification Realm. He had manifested 2 more blood veins, bringing his total to 49. He had also gradually adapted to the peculiarities of the Fire Berserker Art. Though he realized that solidifying further blood veins was becoming increasingly difficult. His recent attempts yielded no new veins, a fact that reminded him of the incomplete 3rd burning of his blood. A key step in his training. Night after night, Su Ming experimented with controlling the moonlight. Despite repeated efforts, he could manipulate only a small ray of light, yet it was sharper than his own horn. Even Xiao Hong could not see it. From this, Su Ming concluded that the power of the moonlight was exclusive to him, a secret force that only he could wield. One morning, Su Ming stood in his fire cave, surveying the walls etched with fine ravines, a testament to his training with the moonlight. He pushed aside the barren cauldron, contemplating the preparations required for Windstream Tribe. Gathering mountain spirit was arduous. He needed 8, each painstakingly created, and the herbs for the Fire of the South pill were entirely new to him. At least the bamboo slip from the elder offered descriptions to guide him. Stepping outside, Su Ming inhaled the crisp morning air. Xiao Hong perched lazily on his shoulders. He reflected on the requirements to open the second door of the trial: 8 mountain spirits and the Fire of the South. The legendary welcoming of deities pill seemed even more rare, but he noted that it would not be required at this stage. With a gentle pat on Xiao Hong's head, Su Ming leapt down the mountain. Wind tearing through his shirt and hair, Xiao Hong clutched onto his hair, squealing in exhilaration as they descended. Su Ming landed gracefully, picking up stones to aid his momentum, moving swiftly down the mountain. Snow still blanketed the forest floor, soft beneath his feet, giving way slightly with each step. Soon, he reached a crossroads in the wilderness. The right path led back to his tribe, familiar and safe, but the left path led to Dark Dragon Tribe. Su Ming paused, weighing his options. He turned to Xiao Hong and asked softly if it wanted to see Bai Ling, who it had never encountered. The little beast widened its eyes, scratching its fur silently in contemplation. Satisfied, Su Ming chose the path to Dark Dragon Tribe, running swiftly yet cautiously. As dusk approached, he reached the location where he had previously parted from Bai Ling. The setting sun painted the sky red, casting long shadows over the distant silhouette of Dark Dragon Tribe. Su Ming observed the movements of the tribe members but did not see her. Despite this, he remained captivated by thoughts of her, recalling her beauty with a quiet longing. Caution guided his next steps. Su Ming did not dare approach too closely, aware that the tribe, while not openly hostile to his own, would still perceive him as an intruder. Memories of past encounters with Black Mountain Tribe, of the violence he had witnessed, and even the blood he had shed, reinforced his instincts. He stopped 10,000 feet from the tribe, settling into the snow to observe. His body was tense, every sense alert, as he absorbed the atmosphere of the place. Time passed in a quiet trance. The sun dipped lower, and the sky began to darken. Su Ming stood and walked forward, keeping a vigilant awareness of his surroundings. He approached the perimeter of Dark Dragon Tribe carefully, avoiding detection. His heart raced, excitement and caution intertwined. Yet, even as he moved, a sudden chill ran down his spine. A wave of danger, far more intense than any he had encountered with the two Black Mountain berserkers, rushed toward him. Reacting instinctively, Su Ming leapt forward, curling into a ball in midair. He hugged Xiao Hong tightly, protecting the little creature as his body twisted to shield itself. A sharp whistle cut through the air. A massive wooden spear, 30 feet in length, shot from within the giant wooden fence surrounding Dark Dragon Tribe. It struck the ground with explosive force, sending snow flying and a shockwave outward. Su Ming's caution had saved him. He landed safely and immediately used the wave of displaced air to propel himself forward at full speed. Leaving? A cold voice traveled from afar. A man with long hair wearing a shirt made of sackcloth chased after him with a fierce look in his eyes. As Su Ming ran forward, he turned back and looked at him with a cold glare in his eyes. In this episode, we saw Su Ming continuing his rigorous training in the Blood Solidification Realm, mastering the mysterious Fire Berserker Art, and pushing the limits of his body and spirit. We followed his journey as he learned to control the moonlight, experimented with the burning of his blood, and manifested new blood veins, steadily advancing toward greater strength. Alongside him, we saw his loyal companion Xiao Hong, whose determination and pride reflected the bond they shared. We also witnessed Su Ming's cautious curiosity as he approached Dark Dragon Tribe to catch a glimpse of Bai Ling, balancing his desire with his survival instincts. The episode captured both his internal growth and the external dangers that tested his vigilance and skill, highlighting the challenges and excitement of a young berserker striving to become stronger. What happens next? Stay tuned for the next episode of Pursuit of the Truth. If you enjoyed this episode or found it exciting, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to get the latest updates on Su Ming's journey. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.